Hi, Mike Brantley, auctioneer. I was discussing with an auctioneer, golly, 10 years ago, maybe more, probably doesn't matter. And he and I were just talking, and he's a really good bid caller. And he said, Mike, you know something? There are no bidders that just bid once. And I said, really? I know a couple. He said, no, you don't. He said, if a bidder bids $50, I can take 75 off the wall and point back them at 100. He'll bid 100 every time. Because they just don't bid once. They bid at least twice. And he said, most of them bid 3-4 times. I can take bids anywhere out of thin air and hit them again, and they'll bid again. And I thought, wow, that's a interesting proclamation, if you will. Again, I know a bidder. In fact, I know his permanent number. He's been coming to our auctions for just about as long as I've been an auctioneer, and he won't be the first bidder, but oftentimes after a few bids from some other bidders, he will bid, and then I look back at the other bidder and get another bid, come back to him, and he won't bid again. In other words, he only bids once. Now, this auctioneer is telling me there's no bidder that just bid once. They bid twice or 3 times, so you can run the bid. You know, we talk about how you treat customers. Customers are bidders, bidders are customers, not clients, customers. And, the more honest, the more integrity, the more fair dealing auctioneers find themselves proclaiming, holding out as a business model. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to have integrity, I'm going to treat people fairly. I think the more people are going to participate in auctions. And here's another piece of that. They don't only just bid once, but they bid twice or 3 times, so you can hit them again. Well, what happens when they don't? Well, it's called backing up. And I have seen this, and I've witnessed this in court, in depositions. I've seen it in $1 million claims. Auctioneer has $5 million on a property. It's a bidder at 5-1, takes 5-2 out of thin air, turns back to that bidder at $5,300,000, and that bidder says, I'm not going to bid 5.3 million. Anyone else at 5.3? So I've still got you at 5.1. And that bidder said in court, no, you had 5.2. You said you had 5.2. You asked me to bid 5.3. I didn't. So where's that 5.2 bidder? Well, I didn't have it. So you're still at 5.1. And see, an auctioneer can't put that guy back in at 5.1 unless he's willing to give 5.1. And at the point that he's been asking that bidder to bid 5.3, what have we got here? I got a bidder that says, you're not going to treat me like that. See you in court. And that's where they met again, in court. We can do better. We can do better. If you think that there's no bidders that just bid once, yes, there are. And if you think, because you believe bidders don't just bid once, that you can take bids out of thin air, that you can take fictitious bids, that you can falsely induce that bidder to bid again under the false pretenses that there's another bidder when there isn't, I think you can do better. We got some of this going on online. Bidder places an initial bid at $1,000. Auctioneer registers his sister or just registers a fictitious name and bids $1,100, and that bidder bids 1,200. And he says, well, maybe I'll just bid, maybe I can bid 1,300. I worked an auction where I was doing the bid calling. Then I got off the block. Another auctioneer came out and bid called, and I walked to my room to get something. And I'm walking down the hall in the hotel room, and a door is open, and I look in, and here's the seller and some of the auctioneer's employees signed onto the online platform, pressing the bid buttons. Now, why would they be bidding? Well, they're bidding to bid against the other bidders in this absolute auction. Everything's selling absolute to the highest bidder. Well, in this case, things are not being sold absolute to the high bidder, because the bidders felt as if the bidders in that hotel room felt as if, well, we've got to bid against the other bidders, and they'll bid again. They'll bid again. And even in that auction, so-called auction, those other bidders didn't bid again. So in the hotel room, they're pressing the retract and trying to put that prior bidder in, and as if you can automatically put them back in when you get caught running the bid, and the law suggests that you can't unilaterally put people into contract. You would have to have their consent. Could your terms say, if I get caught running the bid, I'll retract the bid and you're back in at the previous bid? Can you be put in unilaterally in the previous bid? You can't. You bidders, that just can't happen to you. It happens. We argue about what you can and can't do. Auctioneers can say, well, I do it. I tell them they're back in, but they're not back in. Do bidders only bid once? Sometimes. Maybe not often, but sometimes. And if you're an auctioneer taking bids against people, proclaiming, well, they never bid just once, so I can hit them again, they'll bid again. Well, I think that's a shame. I think it's terrible behavior. Mike Brantley, auctioneer. Pleasure to be with you today. Other videos on this same page, others forthcoming. Have a great day and stay safe.